Welcome to the CBIA BizCast powered by Google. On this podcast, we dive into stories about Connecticut businesses.
Downs Construction actually came to my school.
And business leaders.
I think it's always also really important to be able to see a path forward
for shaping the future of Connecticut's economy. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Marlowe, and today we are bringing the BizCast on the road. That's right, spring is here, and we are here at Dunkin Park. I'm joined today with Hartford Yard Goats General Manager Mike Abramson. Mike, welcome to the BizCast.
Thanks so much for coming out.
We are so happy and so excited for another season. Tell us, as we prepare for this opening day, what are the emotions like here?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an exciting time of year. Our work is cyclical, so we go through a tough season. It's a long season. We rest up for 6 months, we plan, and then the day arrives. And, I'm always so surprised by how quickly it starts. I'm surprised by how quickly it ends. But, in March and in April, hope springs eternal, and we are on the cusp of what I hope will be our best year ever.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit, obviously the story of the Yard Goats is one long and winding, but now they're here in Hartford. There's a lot of excitement, but how did you come into this picture? What brought you to here at Hartford?
Yeah, of course. So, I've been here since the very beginning. I joined the organization when we were still in New Britain, when we were preparing to move the ball club to Hartford and build our brand and start the whole thing up. So it's been a really pretty amazing ride. The first few years were ugly in pretty much every way they could have been ugly. And then the first few years after the ballpark opened, they were great in every way that they could be great. So aside from COVID, which was a speed bump, it's been mostly level and fantastic since then. Some days I miss, being the person or the group that everybody is rooting against. There's something fun about that, but at the same time, it's also nice to be appreciated. When people come out to Dunkin Park, they know what to expect. They expect to have the best time of the summer, and our goal is to give them that. So that's the whole focus.
Yeah, and really, Dunkin Park is the cream of the crop when it comes to minor league ballparks. Tell me a little bit about kind of building this.
Yeah, for sure. So from the very beginning, the goal was to have the best ballpark, the best brand, the best staff, the best everything, which, I think is not uncommon when you're starting a business. But for us, I think the reason that we have been so successful is we are relentlessly unsatisfied. During the season, there are plenty of times where I'm like, we really should enjoy this a little bit more because we just don't. We walk around, we see peeling paint, we see a customer that's not smiling, but that's what it takes to be successful, and that's why we stay at the top. We paint this ballpark every day, we make repairs every day, we think about our promotions, and if something needs to be tweaked, we tweak it. And
for those of people who have not actually made it here for a game, what are they missing?
Well, they're missing really pretty much the best time of their lives. The way I look at our game, I know it's baseball. I know people like baseball. The baseball people are going to come out and enjoy baseball. My job is to give the other 90% of the people who come out here looking for an entertainment experience, an entertainment experience. So I really look at it like it's a concert. When people come out, we have some hits that everybody's expecting. They want to catch a t-shirt during the t-shirt toss. They want to sing Sweet Caroline. They want to watch the little babies run around dressed as baby goats. And then there's some new things. They want to hear some songs they've never heard before, so we try new things each night. But we try to give them an entertainment experience that arcs, that takes them on a journey, and when they leave, they feel tired, but they feel satisfied.
And, speaking of journey, it's been really a long journey to get this place up and running. It took a lot, from your team. What are kind of some of the, challenges that you've had to overcome to get here?
Aside from the obvious challenges of, moving the team, the ballpark not opening, once we've been open, I think it's really about how to maintain that level of excitement. There's so many teams that open a ballpark, and of course everybody's talking about it, and of course your staff is on point, and they want to provide the best customer service possible, but that wanes. It always does, and it takes a tremendous amount of effort to avoid attrition, because normally when a ballpark opens, They jump here and then they head back here slowly. And we've actually been able to build our attendance year over year, build our customer satisfaction year over year. And really, again, it's just by being really picky and being unsatisfied. That's probably the greatest challenge, because as a business person, I guess as a business leader and somebody who's helping to keep that going, you have to keep yourself like pumped up for that too, because it's easy to get complacent and think, maybe I should be doing something else.
And it is your team. You have a strong team behind you. Quite a few people work here year round. Tell me about that, and then we'll kind of talk about the bigger picture and the stronger workforce that you have, the larger, I mean.
Absolutely. So we have a minor league baseball front office is about 20 to 30 people. We're closer to 30. And those people spend the whole year here working on building the season, because the most common question you get asked when you work in baseball is, what do you do in the off season? We build the season, and then we execute the season the other half of the year. So we have folks that work all year round. Of course, we have an event and a community staff. They never stop working. Those things never end. And then throughout the course of the season, probably about 500 people all in all throughout the course of the season come in and work, taking tickets, showing fans to their seats, selling hot dogs and selling concessions, that sort of thing.
How important are all these people to making what you do here so successful?
Yeah, it is the single most important ingredient. We had our full staff orientation a couple of days ago, and it's a little more of a pep rally than anything else, because we have so many returning staff, and then we have about a quarter new staff, and everybody comes out and they get excited, and I always say the same thing, and I really mean it. They are the most important people in the park, because they're the touch points for all of the fans. Any one person working for you who interacts with any one customer can do significantly great things or significantly tough things, to your business.
How do you keep up morale for all of those people?
Well, we work at it. We try to do fun things. So we have parties a couple of times a year, full stadium parties when a game's over on a Sunday. We shut everything down. We give everybody free food and drink. We have a DJ or a band. That's for everybody who works in the park. So somebody who is working on the cleaning crew is sitting next to somebody who started pitching in the game. It includes the team. And they love that, because our staff are the team's biggest fans. We do a batting practice on the field every year for the staff. They get to come down and take BP. We have some outings locally. We do some things with the Wolf Pack and some other places as well. So we try to give back something that just, beyond just a paycheck, and also just have it feel like it's a combined community effort. There's no hierarchy here. Everybody's working toward the same thing.
And really the makeup of those hundreds of people who work here come from the surrounding neighborhoods, is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are as diversified as you can possibly be. I mean, between age, race, religion, every possible thing. Our staff come from all walks of life, and that's what makes it so special, because our fans come from all walks of life. We have so many people here who do this part-time, and we have so many people who rely on it for 6 months out of the year. And it's really great, because there's a commonality in the cause, and that brings everybody together in a way that maybe they wouldn't otherwise.
Have you guys experienced any challenges with a seasonal workforce, especially post-pandemic?
We had a lot of challenges hiring post-pandemic, like everybody else. When we did not have a season in 2020, our front office staff went from 30 down to 8, and our seasonal staff went from 500 down to none. So building that back up in 2021, when there was still a lot of uncertainty in spring of 2021. It felt like there may not be a season again. So we had to do that all kind of on the fly. We had a tough understaffed year. We bounced back really well in 2022. And by last year in 23, we were fully staffed. And we are fortunate this year in that we really have had the ability to choose our workforce completely.
Wow, and that's something that all the employers around you can say for sure.
Yeah.
And tell me, when we talk about the community that is employed here, but also the word community, you've mentioned it a couple of times. How important is community to Dunkin Park, to the Yard Goats?
Yeah, it's a huge part of what we do. Our owner, Josh Solomon, his siblings, Jen and Jim, for them, the community aspect, becoming a part of the fabric of the community, giving back to the community, is the most important part for them. I say this all the time and I mean it. Our owner never calls and asks me what the sales figures were for the day. He's like, how many kids came to the after school program today? Or what was the snack at the theater program? Those are the things that interest them. This is a ballpark that's built in the city of Hartford. It belongs to the residents of the city of Hartford. I am merely a steward of it. The rest of us are. So we feel a great responsibility to have it be like a magical place for the people who live here because it's theirs and they deserve it to be special.
Tell me about some of the different programs that you have. It's not all just baseball games.
Yeah, for sure. So on the community side, we run a very robust nonprofit. Aisha Petaway, who heads up our community arm, we have a theater program. We partner with the local school and we bring in young kids and they put on a show, which they put on a couple of weeks ago, The Addams Family. We have a culinary program where students from Hartford come out to the ballpark. They go into the executive kitchen. They learn to cook from a local restaurant owner. We have an after-school program, which we've been running now for 7 years. Kids come over after school. They learn cool things like personal branding. They hear from like CEOs of local companies about being, the steps to take to become a business person. They go on college tours and we're super proud of that program because now we're at a point where we have some kids working here who were young students in that program initially. So a lot of things like that. And then on the event side, we do a lot of stuff aside from yard goats games. I mean, we have a facility that gets rented out all the time from corporate functions, charity functions, weddings, bar mitzvahs, high school reunions. Really, it runs the gamut.
And you guys have a lot of business buy-in really as well from the supporting businesses, not only just in Hartford, but also around the state. Tell me kind of a little bit about that and other opportunities maybe for businesses who aren't involved.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think when people think about partnering with a sports team, they think about sponsorship because you think about the signs in the outfield and that sort of thing. And we've really been very fortunate since we opened to have a strong, steady sponsorship partner thing. It's grown each year, and the vast majority of folks who were with us in 2015 when we were building this thing are still here today. And we get new people every year. So we've been pretty fortunate to be mostly sold out of sponsorships since we opened. So for the last 7 years, we've just been building things, infrastructure, building programs, imagining things that we can sell and partner on. So there are always still opportunities. If I talk with business leaders who are not partnered here, I let them know that you don't just have to buy an outfield sign. We will create something that makes sense for you, whether you're trying to make sure your employees know you're invested in their community or whether you're trying to sell widgets. We can come up with something that accomplishes either. Or if you're looking at having a big summer picnic, you don't have to go to a park. You don't have to go play a softball game. Come here, rent the field. Kids can play wiffle ball. We'll bring out the live goats. So there's a petting zoo. There's no shortage of things you can do in a park because there's so many little cool areas.
Yeah, and that's why I think one of the things that we talked about before, and even just walking around, there's just so many different corners of the park and opportunities for you, but also for the community.
Yeah, for sure. And we do try and spill that over to the community as well. We have one of our most popular events of the year is our trick or treat. And it is really become the de facto trick-or-treating experience for the kids who live in Hartford. We open up the ballpark for 4 hours. We get all of our corporate partners to come out and set up a table and give out candy. And we get about 5,000 kids that come through over a period of 4 hours and trick-or-treat. It's awesome.
Wow. And, less than 10 years really, and this has also helped drive the economy in the local area. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, the ballpark was always intended to be kind of a spark, right? A phase one of a 4 or 5 phase development. So the ballpark got built. It was a little bit of a challenge getting it done, but stage 2, which is the Pennant Apartments across the street, that got built and is now open. And they actually just broke ground across the street on what will become apartments, office space, ground floor retail. So it's all happening, and then after that, there's only a couple of parcels left. But the end result is that you're going to have an entire new several city blocks that weren't here before, and in the middle of it is ballpark. So it's pretty cool.
What's it like for you just even coming to work here and seeing the growth around the stadium?
Yeah, I feel really proud of the whole thing. This is definitely a crowning career achievement for me. I knew it was going to be successful. I never could have imagined it would be this successful. And just to have so many people come in and talk about having this here and what a difference that makes and seeing all of this life spring up around it, Going into pandemic, it felt like Hartford was really at a tipping point. Like something special was really about to happen for a city that's been a little bit quiet for a number of decades. And then, of course, that everything kind of went away for a couple of years. But it really feels like it's happening again. There's a lot going on. Metro Hartford Alliance does a tremendous job building out initiatives for people who want to open businesses. There's talk about a couple of schools moving students downtown, which I think is super important to a vibrant city. And playing a part in that feels really special. I mean, I'm a very humble person. I never see myself as above anyone else. So I hesitate to take any credit for it, but I'll take a tiny bit. But I do definitely feel proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a lot of your time, a lot of headaches, I'm sure. Can you talk a little bit? I know, so your background, you were in Boston for a while, working then later with the Pawtucket Red Sox, or Paw Sox rather. But tell me a little bit, getting here, getting to this moment, what are some of the biggest things that you've learned in your career?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I was definitely a late bloomer. I was a smart kid in high school until I realized I didn't have to do anything in high school. It's like not going to college. So I played music. I played in bands for a number of years. And then I got to a point where I didn't want to go to college. And I went back when I was in my late 20s, which I don't recommend to anybody ever, because it's tough to be a broke college kid when you're in your late 20s. And when I hit my stride, which I eventually was going to because I come from great stock, my parents wonderful people, they instilled in me a drive and a sense of work ethic. I really kind of sprinted. I went to work actually in radio. I worked for NPR for a couple of years. I was a writer. I got into radio. I managed some radio stations, got into sales in radio. And then when I went to work in baseball, I really found my place, because for years when I had a day job, I taught at night because I just require a lot of work. And I found it in baseball. It's more than I would like. Actually, I want to give some back now. But it's interesting because it's a type of job you have to accept that there's balls in the air all the time. You never land everything ever. And I've gotten comfortable with that, and I realized I would not do well in a one-dimensional type job. So mostly what I've learned is how to sort of pace myself and accept that I probably have to accept good over great 90% of the time. You can't be great often in this type of work, but the good is okay.
All right. Well, I think that you can expect more than a good season this year, at least for, the fan base. We'll see how the team does, but what can we expect as we head into the rest of this year and kind of the future for the Yard Goats and Dunkin Park?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been really tinkering this year. I mean, I don't know that there were going to be a lot of things that the fans are going to come in and be like, holy cow, that is significantly different. Because we have a great staff and we've turned over so few people over the past few years, it allows me to really get kind of down in the dirt and go down some rabbit holes in terms of improving things. So our on-field show, I really want to be great. It's always been good. I think it can be great. We're adding more programs all the time. The time where we recognize kids, like our Most Improved Student program is one of my favorite programs of the year. We're building out some programs similar to that to bring out kids and have them have a moment, kids who normally don't get that sort of thing. So those are the kind of things we're focused on. We have a couple of new areas. We have a new hospitality out in center field we built out this year to meet the demand. There are really a couple new food items and that sort of thing, but it's a year to get better in small ways, and we have some very big infrastructure things planned for 25. So
okay, so a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to get the season off to a great start, and for so many people to come out here and enjoy. I know even CBIA will be here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for listening to this week's BizCast. Remember, you can listen, like, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review and let us know if you have ideas for a future podcast. And for a full list of episodes, head over to CBIA.com.